Part 18. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 171. Zi and Ling were blocked halfway. The originally clear roads were congested. There was a collision between two cars ahead. It wasn't a serious accident, but the owners of the two cars didn't give in and started a fight in the middle of the road. The car was lying across the middle of the road, leaving only one lane, and the traffic flow became stagnant like a water pipe being pinched. Ling pretended to be worried and said, "Oh, it won't delay the exam." Zi didn't make a sound, but instead took a high-level look at Ling and Yun in her heart, feeling that the game they arranged was actually a bit technical, and she wasn't as dazed as before. "Well, there is progress," Zi commented in her heart. Seeing that Zi was not in a hurry, Ling's smile faded a little, and he thought to himself, "Show off. I don't believe you are not in a hurry." The traffic police quickly came to coordinate and moved the accident vehicle to the side of the road, and the traffic flow became smooth again. Even so, it still took a lot of effort. Fortunately, in order not to delay the exam, Zi went out earlier than usual today, and she was not late, but when she arrived at school, there were only 2 or 3 minutes left before the exam. Ling's face was filled with worry, but his eyes were full of unconcealable joy. "Little aunt, hurry to the examination room. Otherwise, you'll be late." The two parted ways in the teaching building, one went to class and the other to the examination room. Zi glanced at Ling's back, with a sneer at the corner of her mouth. She turned and went to the bathroom. She opened her school bag, turned out the pencil case, first took out the pen that Ling gave her, and found the cheat sheet hidden in the refill. Zi touched the school bag, and found another cheat sheet in the inner layer of the school bag. Gray is an elite school. Cheating or plagiarism in the examination room is absolutely not allowed. Just imagine, if people know that the excellent grades of Gray students are obtained by cheating, then the so-called elites are not a joke. Once this matter is found out, there will only be one result waiting for Zi, that is to be ordered to drop out of school. And it will publicly name and criticize online education websites. At that time, no well-known school would accept Zi. It even affected her future university entrance exams, because even if Zi got a high score, the school would question the authenticity of her grades. The stain of cheating will stay with her for the rest of her life. A girl who was dropped out of school and couldn't study normally, and her mother was weak and her brother was a dude, what future would she have? Based on this idea, Yun and Ling designed this conspiracy. Zi threw those cheat sheets with answers into the toilet and flushed them away with water, but she wasn't sure if there were any cheat sheets hidden in other places in her school bag. The exam is about to start, there is no time to continue searching, so why don't you bring your school bag into the exam room? The traffic jam on the road must be calculated by the two sisters, in order to prevent Zi from discovering the clues in the school bag in his free time. Now, where should she put her school bag? Zi came out of the toilet and was thinking about what to do with her school bag. Unfortunately, when she looked up, she saw Wang Zilong and those bad students coming out of the men's toilet opposite. Zi hadn't seen Wang Zilong for a long time. She thought that Wang Zilong was too new to her and gave up pursuing her, but in fact Wang Zilong hid when he saw her, so that Zi couldn't see him at all. There is no other candidate right now, so Zi's heart swayed, and he decided to let him go. Presumably, this kind of boy who loves to show off in front of girls should not refuse to do her a little favor. "Wang Zilong," Zi called him. The voice was so clear and soft that Wang Zilong's bones were so crisp when he heard it. He was thinking about which beauty it was. When he raised his eyes, it was Zi. He was so shocked that his hairs stood on end. Thinking it was Zi who came to make trouble for him, his legs immediately softened and he knelt down to Zi. "Grandma. I was wrong. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again." Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 172. Wang Zilong suddenly knelt down. Just like this, in front of a group of male students, at the door of the women's toilet, kneeling on the ground, his face was pale, and his lips were still trembling. "Grandma, I was wrong. You don't remember villains. Why are you crazy?" Muzi I was startled by Wang Zilong. "Get up. What is this man doing?" Behind him was a circle of male students, all dumbfounded. The little bully in the school, who doesn't even look down on the school director, kneels down to a first-year girl. What's going on? Everyone's jaws dropped in shock, but they didn't dare to ask. Muzi I was in a hurry. Although she was surprised, she didn't have the time to ask carefully. She pulled Wang Zilong up and urged, "Lend me your school bag." "What?" Wang Zilong was at a loss. The bell rang suddenly. Muzi I didn't have time to explain anymore. She directly took off the school bag from Wang Zilong and threw her own school bag into his arms. "I'll look for you after class." Muzi I left behind a sentence, picked up Wang Zilong's school bag and ran away in a hurry. Wang Zilong stayed where he was. The younger brothers beside him looked at each other in blank dismay. After a long time, one boldly asked, "Boss, shall we still go? This group of students is going to skip class and go out to play." Wang Zilong's feeling at the moment was as if he had survived a near death and recovered his life. Play and play. Just know how to play. Didn't you hear Grandma say that she wants to find me after class? Wang Zilong roared for a while, and then, regardless of how distorted the expressions of these people were, he held Muse's school bag as if he was holding an imperial decree, and walked towards the classroom as heavy as 1,000 caddies. For the rest of the male students, you look at me, and I look at you. Who is that girl? Fool! Didn't you hear the old man calling Grandma? Is she really Grandma? What a fuss, maybe it's because of seniority. Then we will call Grandma too. A group of boys were silent for a long time. Muzi I rushed to the examination room and ran into the classroom before the bell ended. The teacher walked into the classroom with the test papers in his arms, and after reading a long section of the test instructions, he handed out the test papers one by one. The grade skip assessment is divided into two parts, the written test in the morning and the retest in the afternoon. The written test is a face-to-face test. The teachers of each subject will issue a comprehensive test paper together to test the student's mastery of the knowledge points. The re-examination is a one-on-one interview with students, mainly to understand the mental outlook and psychological state of the students, so as to prevent students with poor anti-stress ability from being unable to bear the pressure of further studies after skipping a grade. Muzi I concentrated on the test, answered the questions methodically, and successfully completed the entire test paper. There was still a while before the end of the exam, and she began to check in a calm manner. At this time, a teacher hurried in from outside the classroom with a solemn expression, and whispered something to the invigilator. The invigilator's expression changed suddenly, and his gaze swept across the entire examination room sternly. Muzi I's eyes flickered slightly. She just didn't know, and continued to check the test paper. She was not the only one who finished the test papers ahead of time. The arrogant student stood up and wanted to hand in the papers ahead of time, but was forced to sit back by the invigilator. The students in the examination room faintly felt that the atmosphere was not right, but they didn't know what happened, so they could only continue to work on the questions. Wait until the bell rings and the exam is over. Everyone was about to hand in the papers. At this time, the invigilator said seriously, "Please stay in your seats. The students are confused." The invigilator's face was livid, and he continued, "Someone reported that there was a bad behavior of students buying answers in this exam. Now we are going to conduct a one-on-one body search. I hope everyone will cooperate." Everyone was in an uproar. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 173. Everyone is incredible. Gray is known for being rigorous in his studies. Who is so bold as to cheat on Gray? The students couldn't help whispering, the classroom was full of buzzing, and then a few teachers with the same dignified expression came in from outside the classroom. Everyone kept silent, and the classroom fell silent for a moment. A total of 20 students took part in the grade skipping exam. They were divided into two groups, men and women, and were checked by the teacher. There are two teachers in charge of each inspection. One is in charge of bag checking and the other is in charge of body search. The inspection is very strict. Not only the pen will be unscrewed for inspection, but also the transparent cup for drinking water will be opened to inspect the inner wall of the cup lid, and even the coat needs to be taken off if necessary. Fortunately, she is now wearing autumn clothes. Even if she takes off her coat, there is still a shirt inside. Otherwise, even if a female teacher searches her body, I would find it unbearable. The students stood upright by the desks, upright and silent. No one wanted to be suspected of cheating. I was also among them. When it was I's turn, the teacher checked I's school bag. His expression changed slightly, and then he looked her up and down with scrutiny. I felt baffled. She has already changed her bag. The school bags of Gray students are matched with their school uniforms. Each student's school bags are of the same style, and they cannot be distinguished from each other just by looking at them. I is using Wang Zilong's school bag now, so there should be no problem. The teacher took a stern look at I and confiscated her school bag. The students in the classroom all looked at I, and the expressions on everyone's faces seemed to say, is she the one who cheated? Yet inspections continued. Although I felt strange, before the matter was over, she couldn't ask casually, so she had to endure it secretly. After the inspection, several teachers gathered near the podium to discuss in low voices, but there seemed to be no conclusion. An impatient student couldn't help asking, "Teacher, have you found the cheater?" Another echoed, "Who bought the answer? Our assessment results this time will not be affected. What everyone cares about most is their own test scores. If the assessment is invalid because of the cheating incident, then everyone's 2 hours of hard work on answering the questions just now will be in vain. No one wants to do useless work." One of the teachers reassured, "Don't be impatient, everyone, we will report this matter to the school leaders and make reasonable arrangements." I thought for a while, and said aloud, "Could it be a mistake? What's the point of buying the answers for the skipping exam? The monthly exam for the second grade is coming soon." I's words seemed to mean that watching the excitement is not a big deal, but in this situation, it was very appropriate. Whether it is a teacher or a student, after listening to it, their expressions became more dignified. That's right, what's the point of buying the answer to the skipping assessment? The so-called skipping assessment is of course specially prepared for skipping grades. If you pass the exam, you will be promoted to the upper grade. If you fail the exam, you will stay in the lower grade. The grades will not be recorded in the file. Even if the test is 0, the student will not get any punishment, because this is just a skipping assessment. What's more, the behavior of buying answers shows that the student's grades are not good enough, so why should he apply for skipping grades? After skipping a grade, you have to face more difficult homework and exams in the upper grades. Isn't this asking for trouble? The monthly exam is different. Gray's final grades are based on the average of the monthly exam scores of each month. Students with poor grades will be forced to repeat a grade or even dismissed, so the monthly exam is the exam that affects the fate of students. The teachers obviously thought of this, and after holding an emergency meeting, they decided to search the second grade class by class. Now, the whole school exploded. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 174. Someone was able to buy exam questions in advance. This is simply a bolt from the blue, and it is a shame to gray. Even if it will affect the school's teaching curriculum, the school leaders insist on a thorough investigation. It must be checked to find out. The test papers of Muzi and other students have already been collected, but they still stay in the classroom of the test room and are not allowed to go out. Until there was a commotion outside. A sharp voice shouted, "It's not me. I didn't buy the monthly exam answers, I didn't. I don't even know what's in this school bag." Muling yelled and struggled, and the teacher had to hold her down even harder to prevent her from disrupting the teaching order. But Muling was frightened crazy. She was completely panicked and didn't understand what was going on. The teacher should search the examination room for the grade skipping assessment. Why did she come to her class to search? Muling was forcibly taken to the teaching office. When she was in the corridor, she was crying and fussing, as if she had been wronged greatly. This is framing. I didn't buy the answer, she cried, her voice so shrill that it almost penetrated the entire teaching building. At this time, a girl ran out of the classroom, holding a bunch of pens in her hand, and said to the teacher escorting Muling, "She threw away these pens as soon as she entered the classroom in the morning. Throw away your good pens, look, it's full of cheat sheets." Those pens that Muling had prepared in advance contained a cheat sheet inside each of them, letting Muzi take the initiative to choose, just to reduce her defense, but now it has become her own reminder. Now, it's even more irrefutable. The teacher looked at Muling even more sharply, and said coldly, "You still say you don't know? If you don't know, why throw away these pens with cheat sheets? It's clearly a guilty conscience." He didn't listen to her explanation anymore, and escorted her to the teaching office. Muling broke down and cried, "It's not me, it's really not me. Please. Don't do this, I really didn't buy the answer." In the classroom of the grade skipping assessment, everyone showed a relaxed look. Muzi was still standing quietly by the desk without any fluctuation in expression. When the truth came out, the teachers stopped holding the students and left the classroom. When the teacher left, everyone gathered together, chattering and discussing non-stop. Who was that girl just now? She dared to buy the answer, she is so courageous. Just wait to be fired now. It seems to be Muling from the second grade. Hey, Xiao Hoxuan, is it from your class? Oh, it's her. Her grades seem to be in the middle and lower reaches. It's not surprising that she would buy the answer. Muzi walked out of the classroom amidst the students' discussions. Outside the classroom, the sun was warm. She walked slowly along the corridor towards the class, her cold eyes were as calm as water, without waves. Muyun and Muling's plan is very careful. The first step is to show friendliness and kindness and lower her defensiveness. The second step is to put in the cheat sheet when she is not paying attention. The third step is to create traffic jams, so that she has no time to pay attention to the clues in her school bag because she is in a hurry. If Muzi hadn't taken precautions in advance, she would probably be the one who is taken to the teaching office and made the whole school despise her. The grade jumping assessment is very important, and Muzi cannot take it lightly. When she guessed that the two sisters might make a fuss about the assessment, she prepared an answer to the second grade monthly examination in advance. When Muling was complacent about the success of his plot, Muzi had already stuffed the cheat sheet into Muling's school bag. Of course, Muzi hadn't read the test paper, so she wrote the answer randomly and it was fake. But it doesn't matter if the answer is true or false, as long as Zhou Muling really bought the answer, it is enough to convict him. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 175. Mu Ling was crying in the teaching office. After all, she is only 17 years old, and she grew up under the influence of arrogance. Although the young lady has a big temper, she doesn't really have any ideas, and when something happens, she will be confused. The dean asked her sharply where she bought it from, how to trade it, and what was the other party's way of obtaining it. Ask in detail. Leakage of test questions is a major issue. If it cannot be resolved, there will be hidden dangers in every test in the future. But how did Mu Ling know this? The answer was given to her by Mu Yun. In order to buy the answer for this level jumping assessment, she even used up the pocket money she had saved for several months. Now she can't bring Mu Yun into it. Mu Yun is her older sister. Even if the blame is all blamed on Mu Yun, Mu Ling still can't get rid of it. Although Mu Ling is not smart, he can still distinguish this point of interest. So she grabbed and bit Mu's eye. She couldn't accept that after spending so long preparing, Mu's eye was fine in the end. She framed me. Mu Ling was hysterical, crying and yelling. We drove to school together in the morning, and she must have stuffed the cheat sheet into my school bag at that time. It was Mu's eye who did it. The stakes are high, and anyone suspicious will be investigated. Mu's eye was also taken to the teaching office. She had been prepared for a long time, but she still acted in fear. I have no reason to do this, Mu's eye defended herself. Her voice was soft, with the childishness and timidity of a little girl. I will do all the questions for the skipping assessment. Why should I buy the answers? If you don't believe me, you can take the exam at any time. Her eyes are pure and innocent, and her eyes are open. In addition, there is no evidence to prove that she cheated, so the teachers subconsciously favor her. However, they still came up with a few impromptu questions for Mu's eye to do. Mu's eye answered all of them. The English teacher tested her speaking ability, and found that Musa spoke fluently and proficient in grammar. The teacher was even more pleasantly surprised. Mu's eye cleared the suspicion with her strength. But Mu Ling persisted and insisted that it was Mu's eye's conspiracy. The teacher led Mu's eye to confront Mu Ling. The out-of-control Mu Ling almost rushed to fight her. Mu's eye took a few steps back and shrank behind the teacher. Her eyes were reddish, as if tears were shining. Mu Ling's accusations against Mu's eye were all futile without evidence, and her abuse made the school teachers even more disliked, thinking that she lacked education. When Mu's eye left the teaching office, she told several teachers, "I am the adopted daughter of the Mu family." There was a slight pause in her voice. She seemed to be choked up, and said softly, "If I pass the assessment, can you arrange for me to go to another class? I'm really afraid of her." The teachers felt sorry for her. It turned out to be the adopted daughter of the Mu family. No wonder Mu Ling would shirk responsibility so confidently. She must have often bullied the adopted daughter in the family like this on weekdays. The teachers who deal with the heirs of the powerful and powerful every day are most disgusted by the students who bully others. They sympathized with Mu's eye's experience, and hated Mu Ling even more. Mu Ling will be fired soon, there is no doubt about it. After returning to the class, Mu's eye took out the textbook from the desk, opened it to read, thinking about the cause and effect in her heart. She doesn't regret it at all. If she hadn't been vigilant, she would have been detained at the teaching office for interrogation. Not only will she be fired, but she will also be notorious and ridiculed. I can't hold my head up for the rest of my life. When everyone mentioned her, they would say, "Oh, it was the girl student who cheated at Gray." The plan of the Mu family sisters is not to make small troubles, they want to ruin Mu's eye's future and life. And their father is more likely to be the real culprit who ruined Mu's eye's life. Therefore, Mu's eye will never be soft-hearted. The fact that the cheater was caught quickly spread throughout the school, and after class, all the students gathered together to discuss it. The teacher in charge suddenly asked Mu's eye to go to the office because of the school bag. Mu's eye felt a headache. What exactly did this Wang Zilong put in his skull bag? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 176. On the way to the office, I imagined many possibilities and thought of countermeasures one by one. But when she got to the office, she still couldn't help cursing in her heart, cheating. In Wang Zilong's skull bag, there is actually a pack of cigarettes. No matter which school, students smoking is strictly prohibited. Wang Zilong is used to playing prestige on weekdays, and the teachers turned a blind eye to him, but now that the cigarettes are found in I's skull bag, this is a big problem. I felt almost sad in her heart. She escaped the schemes of Yun and Ling, but was tricked by the idiot Wang Zilong. It's not mine. I tried her best to open a pair of wet and innocent eyes like a deer, and said softly, "This is my brother's cigarette." I wanted to force him to quit smoking, so I deliberately hid the cigarette in my skull bag. When I came to school this morning, forgot to take it out and throw it away. I really doesn't look like a bad student who can smoke. She has performed well since entering school, and she doesn't talk much at ordinary times. The teacher has always given the impression that she is a shy female student. However, out of responsibility, the teacher still asked Musa to ask the parents to come over and explain clearly. I wanted to swear. She couldn't tell by way about this. Murong Chen wasn't at home these days. How could she hide his cigarettes? Could it be that Muling's conspiracy was revealed directly? Thinking about my mother's silly white rabbit character, let's forget it. I thought about it, and finally called Murong Chen in the head teacher's office. Zizi, there was a little surprise in Murong Chen's voice. It was really not easy to get I to call him on his own initiative. The homeroom teacher was by his side, and I bit the bullet and said, "Brother, I hid the cigarettes you couldn't find yesterday, but I hid them in your skull bag. Can you come to the school now and explain it to the teacher clearly?" There was a long silence on the phone. I's heart almost reached her throat. Oh my God, Murong Chen, don't pretend to be a gangster. Okay, I will rush to the school before school is over, Murong Chen said. I was completely relieved. He understood what she meant. The last class in the morning is over, and it's time for lunch break. Zhang Xinyuan and Zhuang Jie especially came to Musa's class and went to the cafeteria with her for dinner. Zhang Xinyuan asked her concerned, "I went to see you during recess, and the classmates in your class said that you were called away by the head teacher. Are you okay?" The fact that the students bought the answers caused panic in the school, and Zhang Xinyuan was worried that I would be implicated. I shook her head, and repeated the excuse of helping her brother quit smoking. Zhuang Jie said, "You are too naive. Your brother can't find cigarettes, won't he buy another pack?" I smiled awkwardly. She could only pretend to be innocent, and couldn't say anything. The line in the cafeteria was very long, and the three girls followed the line slowly forward. During the period, Zhang Xinyuan talked about his brother. "I quit my job as a teacher for no reason, and said that I would start an English training institution with a few friends, and my parents were very upset." Jiang's father hoped that his son could pursue an official career and enter the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the future. Jiang's mother hopes that her son will continue his studies and teach at a university in the future. But Zhang Huan didn't touch both ends, and went to engage in English training, which seemed to be related to education, but in fact it was doing business. The Zhang family has been scholarly for generations, and finally a businessman came out. How can this make the parents not annoyed? That is to say, Jiang's father and Jiang's mother are reasonable. If it were an ordinary family, there would definitely be a lot of quarrels. What's so good about being a teacher? Your brother has grown up like this. Teaching in school is a misleading experience. It's better to go out and venture out. Zhuangjie comforted Zhang Xinyuan, but her way of speaking was unique. The corners of Zhang Xinyuan's mouth twitched slightly. Can't you be handsome when you are a teacher? You are a professional prejudice. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 177. Zhuangjie actually got serious. Look at those comedians, are there any handsome ones? But those who have a little more correct facial features try to look ugly. Some professions have requirements on looks, which can't be helped thing. Muzi deeply agrees. To be precise, Zhang Huan's problem is not that he is handsome, but that it is easy for little girls to have fantasies. He was born in a scholarly family, with a gentle and gentlemanly temperament. He also studied abroad, blending the style of a British gentleman. In addition, he has handsome features and good taste. He can make girls feel like a spring breeze with a slight smile. Girl students, staying in school is really a scourge. If Zhang Huan was fatter, uglier, and older, Zhou Jiaying would not be able to do the disgusting thing before, right? Saying this, it seems that I feel a little sorry for Zhang Huan. After all, he is the victim. But Muzi still felt that it was not suitable for him to stay in the school. Zhang Xinyuan was still arguing with Zhuangjie. According to what you said, the prettier female teacher is also misleading the younger generation. Zhuangjie replied, there are rules in the school. Female teachers are not allowed to wear heavy makeup, wear short skirts, and be too revealing. These rules are actually suppressing women's natural desire to dress up. It is a hidden discrimination, but there is no way around it. In the face of immature students, it is safer to be ugly and old-fashioned. Zhang Xinyuan couldn't say no to her, and stared with anger, but they are good friends, and they wouldn't really get angry if they had a verbal argument. The three chatted while walking, and it was their turn in the team soon. After finishing their meals, they found that the cafeteria was already full and there were no empty tables. How about we go to the grove to eat? Zhang Xinyuan suggested. There is a grove next to the cafeteria. Many students like to memorize books in the grove in the morning, but at night it becomes an important place for teachers to assault students who fall in love with puppies. Let's find a place first. Zhuangjie didn't want to go. Whenever there is a gust of wind, the leaves will fall. I don't want to eat my mouth full of leaves. The temperature has dropped in the past 2 days, and the leaves have fallen badly. Muzi's gaze was also searching the crowd, wanting to see if he could find a vacant seat. Finally, I saw Wang Zilong waving enthusiastically at her not far away. Muzi subconsciously looked to both sides of her. That's right, Wang Zilong was indeed waving at her, but what's with that earnest smile on his face? Muzi hesitated, but Zhang Xinyuan and Zhuangjie saw it, and Zhuangjie couldn't help saying, hey, isn't that Zioba Wang? He seems to be telling us to go over. Zhang Xinyuan frowned, why is this person still pestering Zizi? Zhuangjie said, it doesn't look like he is looking for trouble, let's go and see, there is a vacant seat at their table. The three girls headed over there with their dinner trays. Before approaching, Wang Zilong and his gang of younger brothers have already trotted over, took the dinner plates from the girls very attentively, put them on the table, and took the initiative to make 3 bowls of hot seaweed egg drop soup, and various fruit cold spells. Wang Zilong asked with a charming smile, Grandma, let's go out to eat, is this enough? How about I go get you some greasy food? Zhang Xinyuan and Zhuangjie didn't respond, they all thought they heard it wrong. On the other hand, Muzi's expression was distorted, a row of black lines appeared on the corner of his forehead, and he asked Wang Zilong, what trick are you playing? Don't send colorful flowers indiscriminately, how can you call Grandma? What a hobby! Grandma, how can I play tricks with you? Wang Zilong looked sincere. This time, both Zhang Xinyuan and Zhuangjie heard clearly. The two exchanged glances, clearly seeing the shock in each other's eyes. Zizi, he called you, what? Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 178. Muzi raised her forehead, embarrassed and puzzled. I don't know what the hell he's doing. Zhang Xinyuan and Zhuang Jiakai went to see Wang Zilong together. Not only the two of them were watching, but Wang Zilong's little follower was also watching his elder brother, and the students from all directions in the cafeteria were all looking this way. Probably some students have sharp ears and have already heard the sentence of grandma just now. Wang Zilong thought of his uncle's low-key and restrained appearance when he came to pick up Muzi, and guessed that Muzi's identity might not be announced, so he scratched the back of his head and said with a silly smile, didn't we agree last time? If I can't pursue you, I will be your grandson. Muzi. Who told you that? Don't talk to yourself, okay? The group of people were not fools, and they heard that this was Wang Zilong self-deprecating, but seeing him laughing and joking, it was obvious that he didn't intend to tell the real reason. Muzi didn't bother to ask any more. Probably something wrong with his brain. Zhuang Jia didn't think it was a big deal, and joined in the fun and said, Wang Zilong, I'm 1 year older than Muzi, and she still calls me sister, you call her grandma, what about me? Zhang Xinyuan was taken aback, and tried to wink at Zhuang Jia. God, is this a joke? The other party is the unscrupulous Wang Zilong, you don't want to die? Really? If it was a different person, Wang Zilong would have already punched the guy, but his grandma was here, so she smiled like a grandson. Little girl, it's a little cheap, you can't take it casually. Wang Zilong smiled, and the corners of his eyes were slightly cold. He is a third-grade student, and has been repeated several times in a row. He is the oldest here, and his name is Zhuang Jia's little girl, which is not too much at all. Zhuang Jia shrugged and said indifferently, I'm just trying. For some reason, Muzi inexplicably thought that the driver who often drove for Murongcheng also seemed to be surnamed Wang. After thinking about it, I found it impossible. Wang is a common surname, and it is normal to bump into surnames. Besides, Wang Zilong's uncle has such a high status, how could he give Murong the driver? At most, it's a colleague relationship, right? Alas, why did I think of Murongcheng again? Muzi ate this meal a little absent-mindedly. Zhuang Jia is as usual. Zhang Xinyuan was worried. After lunch, Wang Zilong personally helped Muzi return the used dinner plate. Zhuang Jia and Zhang Xinyuan also got rid of it, and a group of small followers returned the dinner plate. They left the cafeteria under the strange and shocked eyes of all the students. At the entrance of the cafeteria, Zhang Xinyuan took a deep breath and said sincerely, let's go to the grove to eat next time. The three of them looked at each other, knowing it well, and laughed at the same time. In this way, the relationship seems to be a little closer. In the afternoon, Muzi went to attend the interview for the grade skip assessment. She has died twice, and she has seen big storms. This small interview is not a problem at all, and the answers are fluent. The teachers are very satisfied. The results of the exam in the morning came out very quickly. After all, there were not many students who took the exam, and it didn't take much time to review the papers. 8 students passed the grade skipping exam this time. Next, the work of the teachers is how to reasonably insert the 8 skippers into each class of the 2nd grade. Muzi was the first in the comprehensive score, and the answer on the paper was almost perfect. Although this result will not be included in the final grade, it undoubtedly left an excellent impression on the teachers. Both Zhang Xinyuan and Zhuang Jia were happy for her, and the three of them agreed to have a good celebration. The girls were discussing how to celebrate, when there was a sudden commotion in the teaching building. Something happened, which attracted many students to watch. A few girls hurried past them and said, here comes a handsome guy. He's right there in the office. He's even more handsome than teacher Zhang before, 100 times more handsome. Muzi sighed in his heart, this turbulent youth. After sighing with emotion, I vaguely felt that I had missed something. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 179. What? She remembered. Zhang Xinyuan and Zhuangjie looked at her strangely. What's wrong? No. It's nothing, I suddenly remembered something, so I'm going first, Muzi hurriedly replied, and hurried towards the teaching building. She forgot to invite the parents. It must be Murong Cheng. But why did she subconsciously think that the person who caused all the girls in the school to erupt was Murong Cheng? Does she also think that Murong Cheng is 100 times more handsome than Zhang Huan? Muzi felt ashamed of herself for this thought. Form is emptiness, form is emptiness. Going up the stairs, she found more students. There are also many girls lying on the railing of the corridor, holding up their mobile phones and scrambling to take pictures. Is this too exaggerated? Muzi heard a girl say intoxicatedly, it's so delicious. She cursed in her heart, what does it taste like? Braised, or sweet and sour? Muzi passed through the crowd and finally came to the door of the head teacher's office, just in time to see Murong Cheng shaking hands with the head teacher to say goodbye. He turned around and met Muzi's gaze. The tall man was dressed in a suit and leather shoes, with sword eyebrows and star eyes, handsome and extraordinary. He stood in front of Muzi, even though his posture was casual, his demeanor was dignified and graceful, and his demeanor was so dazzling that it was hard to ignore, as if a prince from a fallen royal family was naturally noble. It's really Murong Cheng. Muzi had never seen him dressed so formally before. If some clothes are not suitable for the occasion, they will look funny. For example, if you wear clothes to meet the president and go to a party in a bar, no matter how big the clothes are, they will be laughed at by everyone. But Murong Cheng's temperament is so good that he forcibly turned the aura of the teaching building into a filming scene of a blockbuster movie. No matter from which angle he is photographed, it is an excellent screensaver for his mobile phone. No wonder so many girls photographed him. Zizi Murong Cheng spoke affectionately, stepped forward and rubbed Muzi's head. I'm really promising, I'll invite parents after 1 month of school. Muzi. This guy. She blushed, gritted her teeth secretly, and dragged Murong Cheng downstairs. Did you do it on purpose? You want all the students in the school to know that I've been hired as a parent. Muzi dragged Murong Cheng to the school's grove, and questioned angrily. He is really dressed up today. This suit looked expensive, and the diamond cufflinks exposed from the cuffs of the shirt would blind her eyes. Wait, it's really a diamond? Muzi fixed her eyes, it really is. I just had a business discussion with an Englishman, and I came over right after the conversation. I didn't have time to change my clothes, Murong Cheng explained lightly. Muzi curled her lips and thanked him even though she was depressed. Thank you today. She knows the good and the bad. Murong Cheng took the time to rush over to help her. But, if she hadn't been forced to do nothing, she really didn't want Murong Cheng to help her, because the consequences were unpredictable. What's with that pack of cigarettes? Murong Cheng habitually wrapped his arms around her waist, his deep voice hinted at danger. Which boy does it belong to? Muzi was about to blow his hair again, so he tried hard to break away from him. This is at school. Don't touch your hands. Murong Cheng was pushed away by her, his long eyebrows were raised slightly, and his eyes were a little cold. He stood under the tree without saying a word. The sun cast a shadow on his body, the outline became more firm and deep, and Murong Cheng's face appeared a little gloomy. Muzi was particularly afraid of his appearance. She just felt that this pervert was going crazy again, and she knew the times best. Muzi immediately hugged Murong Cheng's arm, and explained softly, "That's because I borrowed someone else's school bag, and the cigarettes belonged to someone else too. I didn't even know. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again." Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 180. Muzi told Murong Cheng about the plot against her by the Mu sisters. Murong Cheng didn't like Muzi's relationship with anyone of the opposite sex. When he learned that there was a pack of cigarettes in Muzi's school bag, he guessed it belonged to a certain boy, so he was not in a very happy mood for this trip today. But now that Muzi was able to explain everything to him in detail, it showed that his little baby had begun to trust him. Thinking of this, his mood improved, and a faint smile appeared on his face. Muzi felt that he was more cloudy and moody. Inexplicably, I began to miss the time when Murong Cheng was normal. It's a pity that Murong Cheng's normal time is too little and too short. Those two girls from the Mu family are dishonest. I'll get them away later, Murong Cheng said flatly. You can study with peace of mind. Muzi was startled when she heard the words, "How are you going to get him away?" Murong Cheng glanced at her, with a playful smile on the corner of his mouth. "Send it to their grandpa's house, so as not to be an eyesore." "What? How do you think I'm going to get them away?" Muzi was startled. She thought that Murong Cheng was going to sell the two sisters overseas directly and make them slaves. Don't blame her for making such evil speculations. It's actually Murong Cheng who does things with a sense of ruthlessness and cruelty. Muzi still remembers the face of him smashing the killer. The eyeballs were alive and bloody, popped out of the eye sockets. It was her eternal nightmare. "Let me settle this matter by myself, okay," she discussed with him kindly. "It's just a conflict between little girls, and I can't just send her away every time I encounter similar things in the future. There is a way to solve it properly, so don't interfere, okay?" Murong Cheng was silent for a moment, as if thinking. He knew Suzi's personality, independent and self-reliant, and didn't like to rely on others. Even if he married Mu Zhenning, he never got anything from the Mu family. On the contrary, relatives of the Mu family got into lawsuits from time to time and came to ask Suzi for help. Although Murong Cheng has selfish and evil deeds, he is willing to respect her feelings. "Okay, I won't interfere," he smiled, pulled Muzi into his arms again, and kissed her earlobe lightly. Muzi's whole body was tense. She bit her lip and said, "This is a school, if someone sees." Seeing that she was really scared, the enthusiasm in Murong Cheng's heart disappeared, and he felt a little dull. Muzi will always have an excuse to reject him. But he really shouldn't provoke her in school. Gray is a prestigious school, and the students here are all the sons of wealthy businessmen and celebrities. If someone really sees her and spreads some nasty words, his baby will be wronged. People's words are scary. Murong Cheng understands this truth. He let go of Muzi and gently touched her face. "Stay away from the boys in school, you know." Muzi hurriedly nodded. "Send me out," Murong Cheng said. The two left the grove and walked slowly towards the gate of the campus. On the way, Murong Cheng asked her how she did in the exam. Muzi raised her head proudly, and said, "I passed it successfully, and I can enter the 2nd grade. "Not bad." Murong Cheng was happy to see her, and he was also in a good mood. "Did the crow disturb you?" Muzi pursed her lips and smiled, stretched out her finger and pointed at it. Murong Cheng followed the trend and looked over, only to find a crow resting above the street lamp by his side, with bright black eyes, silently following the two of them. Obviously it can fly, but it can't fly very far. It was outside the classroom window during the exam. Muzi's tone was very complacent. "It must be reluctant to part with me, don't you think?" Murong Cheng was satisfied in his heart. This three-eyed crow was quite spiritual. Since it won't go away, let's keep it and keep it. It should be given a name, Murong Cheng said. Yeah, it's not good for the little crow to keep calling like that. Muzi was thoughtful, and began to think about the name of the crow. After walking out of the school gate, Murong Cheng's car was parked by the side of the road. Opening the car door, Muzi was about to say goodbye when he suddenly put his arms around her waist. A bad premonition sprouted in Muzi's heart. If she realized something, she would turn around and run away. The next moment, the whole person was thrown into the car.